Welcome everybody. Trifecta
Welcome.
day. We're still waiting to receive our brother in crime, Mr. Lee. I'm assuming he's running late from work, so I'll let him slide for another 5. And then when he doesn't show up in 5, I'm gonna slap him on the side, make his eye look really slanted eye like it's supposed to be. Do or die.
They're not slanted enough.
Not slant. Well, I'm gonna slant it more. We get Facebook up and running here. Good. Facebook is live. YouTube is live. Welcome everybody. So our topics are threefold today, and we'll start with the most crazy one, and that is the Giuffre issue. In case y'all didn't hear, Giuffre, hang on one second. The wife, she's traveling. The Giuffre issue happened where she's apparently had done gone and done committed, sued to decide. Please type a 100% sign if you believe she killed herself. In the comment section, please put 100%. Yeah, she killed herself. If you don't believe that she killed herself, well, say Epstein.
Yeah, that's obvious. And, I don't understand how people don't find it odd that whenever someone goes after names like Epstein or anyone tied to Epstein, the Clinton, anyone that's, well-known figure, they wind up not alive anymore.
Isn't that kind of odd?
It's odd to me.
After a while, don't you think there's more than just, coincidence?
Yeah, and you notice, like, say you had some information on some small fry. Oh, you're alive and well to snitch on that dude, but when it comes to these big people, they're gonna get you. It's a scare tactic.
Jeffrey Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre has died by suicide, her family says. Giuffre, aged 41, took her own life at her home in Australia. Police said they're investigating the death, but say it does not appear to be suspicious. It comes a few weeks after Giuffre claimed in a social media post that she was injured in a car accident. She's best known for her allegations that Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell trafficked her to Prince Andrew when she was 17. The Duke of York has denied all claims, but reached an out-of-court settlement with her in 2022. That settlement included a statement in which he expressed regret for his association with Epstein, but contained no admission of liability or apology.
Now who made who settled out of court with her? Who was it?
Who did what? Settled out of court?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the Prince guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you notice what family is a part of, the royal family.
Yeah.
And those are the people you don't mess with, man. The royal family, the Clintons, anybody, dude. You start even thinking about dropping names or dropping information on them now, they're gonna prove a point.
And they know how to exactly prove a point.
They got way too much control, man. They're too powerful, which people like that shouldn't have that much power. No one should have that much power except for God himself.
Hang on.
It's insane to me, man.
The statements that she made before passing, and I'll say passing, not killing herself, passing, is quite interesting too. I'm going to mute this so that people don't have YouTube doesn't get the option to copyright me for music, because you know how they like to do.
Yeah.
Here's her last tweet. It says, "I'm making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. I have made this known to my therapist and GP. If something happens to me in the sake of my family, in the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help me to protect them. Too many evil people want to see me quieted."
And did they say how she died?
No. From what I was reading, she had an accident in March.
Yes, sir.
A pretty dangerous one. and they had told her that things had been happening to her internally, and she only had a few months left to live, or something like that, and she was going to go second opinions. And then she put that tweet out: "I'm not trying to kill myself. I'm not suicidal. Don't believe it." And then 2 weeks later, she was beep, gone.
But they
Mhm.
didn't say how.
Mm-mm.
Interesting.
Nope.
Now, what I'm hoping is that she left something, because if she knew, I'm gonna put myself in her shoes. If I knew that I had information on these people, and I knew that my life was in danger if I talk about this information, I would have dead man files everywhere. Video files, audio files, paper trails, everything. And I would let one person know specific and send it out.
Do you think that she did have a kill switch?
I would think she did, man, because this tweet alone is telling us that she was afraid for her life.
Mhm.
So, a logical person would say, okay, they're probably going to try to take me out. So I got to make sure everything is out. Just in case they do, the information doesn't die with me. It continues
Right.
on. So I'm hoping that someone has the information. They're just being very, very quiet right now. And it will get out.
To answer your question, Trump was notified of it, and he was before the cameras. He just said it was a really bad deal. It's pretty horrible what happened. He hasn't said anything more than that. I don't expect them to say anything if they are going to investigate it. I don't expect them to say we're investigating it.
Yeah.
Considering the kinds of people that might have been involved. But what happens if they do find that this was nefarious? It'd be interesting to find out who, what names and all that stuff, because it could end up being this could be the could this be the catalyst to get the Epstein list really released, where they have no choice now because they have to get the information out, and if there are more people that could possibly be in trouble and looking at being in danger because of them not being arrested from being on the list. I could see this being a linchpin easily.
I mean, yeah, I can see this being a catalyst because, as much pressure is on Pam Bondi and Cash Patel to get this list out, this could be something, especially if she had information and she had solid information that they're holding on to that confirms the list itself. This will be the catalyst. And I think if anything happens, I think a lot of these arrests are going to happen behind the scenes, man.
Yeah.
I think people will just you're not seeing them anymore. And you're like, where's this person at? And they're already gone.
I wish they would just do the public thing.
Yeah.
Like really, just publicly arrest them. Make it a spectacle. I don't care if people think it's a bad optics. Make it a spectacle, because the quiet going into the night kind of arrest is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to make an example out of these people in the best way, form, fashion, and that's publicly.
Yeah.
I don't want them disappearing. I need to know they're gone.
I mean, make it public the same way our government showed the murder of Gaddafi and the hanging
Right.
of Saddam. That was all over the TV. They showed them dragging Gaddafi through the streets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying we drag them through the streets, but I am saying our people.
When they did Saddam dirty like that, after they got him, my dude looked so homeless. It was kind of ridiculous what they did to him. But again, I don't think that Saddam was that kind of guy. I think they put that out there to make it look like it was, but I don't think.
Yeah, I believe that too. But I think they should at least make the trials public, arrest them in silence, and then one day we just see, boom, this person's on trial for X, Y, and Z.
Right. And well, the odds of that happening now are very, very slim.
Yeah.
Very, very slim. Hold on one second. The problem here is I think we're expecting a lot more than we actually are going to get. Honestly, we're not going to get the things we're looking for. I think I've come to that unfortunate conclusion. I will be getting something akin to it a little bit, but man, I'll tell you what. I tell you, this is going to be one of those things I think will end up coming to light long after the fact. But I do believe that she was not suicidal and that she did get taken out completely.
I believe a little different. I believe that something is going to happen because I keep thinking to 2026 when Trump talked about what is it, the Great American Bash or the American for the whole year of 2026, starting in January. I would assume starting January 20th. I would assume. So I think like this summer, as someone stated in the comments, the first 100 days, that marked the point. And I think going into summer, I think things are going to be happening because he wants everything settled by 2026. So I believe you're just going to start seeing things pump out. Will we see a lot of the rest that we want to see? Probably not live, but I think people are going to start just
poof
disappearing, honestly.
Harry Pottering.
Yep.
Harry Potter. The other breaking news is the Diddy thing, and that's a twofold situation. Diddy has rejected a plea deal. He does not want a plea deal, and actually he come up with a brand new defense for his situation. We'll get to that part too, but let's listen to the news report about him rejecting.
And Caitlin, let's start with you. What happened, or what has happened in court today?
It was a pretty big day in court, Connell. We actually learned that Diddy was offered a plea deal in this case, which he rejected. Not really a surprise that when one was put on the table, he said no. He has vehemently maintained his innocence this entire time. I could not see a world where he would accept any kind of plea deal. So we heard that today. The other big takeaway from court, and we are in crunch time now, just less than 2 weeks before this is going to start and go to trial. The now infamous video of Diddy and Cassie in that hotel room where he is seen allegedly attacking her will be played in court for jurors. Now, the original video, the original surveillance doesn't exist anymore. So we have a copy that was obtained by CNN. So, obtained by CNN, yes. And it was taken by a cell phone video. So you're going to have the person who took the video testifying in court and independent people there that are going to authenticate it. But the jury is going to see that. The other types of evidence that they're going to see is going to be video of these alleged freak-offs, these sex parties that Diddy had. And this is going to be an important thing about jury selection. One of the things that the defense wants to ask prospective jurors about is whether or not they are comfortable viewing this kind of content and whether they are comfortable with people having multiple sexual partners. Really, they don't want a prudish jury who off the bat is going to see this type of behavior, which they have always maintained was absolutely consensual on both sides, to look at that as reprehensible on their way in there. So those were the two really big takeaways today in court. Diddy was in that courthouse for, a little while. It wasn't a very long hearing. This is one of our last pre-trial hearings before jury selection begins.
Now, he rejected the plea deal, which means that he's willing for it to go to court fully, discovery, the whole works, the whole shebang, maintaining his innocence and all that good stuff. However, there is one linchpin to all of it. I'll address one thing. They said that they were worried about the jury being prudish, and they didn't want the tapes to influence the decisions based on the whole sexual thing. But you still showed a video of the beating in the elevator, which had nothing to do with the case. I'm not quite sure how that one gets in there. Again, I'm not saying he didn't. I just think it's irrelevant to the topic of the case he was arrested for, which was racketeering, drugs, and illicit sexual activity, including trafficking. So I don't know how the beating her in the elevator or even to the elevator or in the hall, how is that related to the, if you're not trying to paint the jury in a light for them to look at him a certain way?
Yeah, I believe it. I believe them even showing that clip, which we've all seen it, but showing that clip, possible jury, members watching this, and automatically that's going to be imprinted in their brain. It doesn't matter what they ask. Do you believe in this? That image that they showed, it's going to stay there, and it should.
But he has since allowed his defending lawyer to drop what he is considering his stance for his defense. Now, you may not believe this when I tell you what his defense is going to be. His defense is that he was too high and drunk. Listen again, too high and drunk for this to be premeditated stuff and coercion. He was not in his right mind to be making this kind of decisions about forcing people because he was too high and drunk at the times of the events.
Okay, wait. Okay. So he was too high and too drunk, so it wouldn't be considered or couldn't be considered premeditated. But when he planned the event for whoever to come over there, these sex workers, whoever, male, female, isn't that premeditated?
Well, the act itself is not the procuring of them. We still don't know if he did the procuring or someone else. That's what we don't know.
Okay.
They may be there already, but he can always say, I was not in the planning of it. I was just in the enjoyment of it. And here's the problem. If the tapes that he has does not have the precursor, like the drug use and the drinking or anything like that, on all it has is just the freak offs. That's no different than a sex tape, and he hadn't released anything, so it can't be revenge porn. He might, look, this might sound bad, but he might have an out on this one. He might get out of this one because they kept saying that there were indeed drugs there, right?
Yeah.
That's what part of the thing. Yes, Dan, he could say, yes, there was drugs there. And because I consumed said drugs and alcohol, my judgment was impaired, and I cannot be held responsible for that or anybody else's actions because I was under the influence.
But what about the laced baby oil, supposedly?
Now,
Isn't
that one, I had not
premeditated?
heard any more past it, and people are saying there may not have been actually any of that, because that would have been contraband, right? And if they already know and tested that does have an illegal drug in it, that's he wouldn't be coming to trial for nothing other than that. That's where I would have put my emphasis. If you know for a fact this had drugs in it, oh, definitely. I'm not even worried about the racketeering or nothing. I'm sending you to jail for the amount of drugs you had in that baby oil. That's what I'd target.
And the alcohol, that was another thing that came out, how the alcohol was laced too. There's certain bottles of Ciroc that were laced with a certain date rate drug. So if they test that, wouldn't that be considered, that would fall under premeditation? Correct?
If he didn't tell anybody else that it was laced.
Okay.
You see, he has a whole lot of outs on this one, because if he can say they all knew, and he can say, no, they knew that these things had aphrodisiacs and they had certain additives to increase the pleasure around, they would know. They decide to take it, decide to do it. It's not on me, it's on them. And if it's on them and I've decided to imbibe with them, no one's at fault. These are all just heavy people doing heavy stuff around each other. So could he get away with it? I mean,
Most of them do.
He could get away with it, man.
Well, most of the people like him do. Harvey Weinstein got out of jail. Diddy, Epstein didn't even make it to anything. So yeah, I can see it, man. Especially, you know, when you're at that status, a guy like Diddy who was rubbing elbows and shaking hands with a lot of people, a lot of judges, a lot of mayors, you know, politicians. I could see them, you know, letting them slide on some of the things. They'll get them for minor things, be on house arrest or go home and pay a fine. But I can kind of see it, man.
It is one for the ages. And if that's the case, look, I said this before in another video. He must know something that we don't, and that the prosecutor doesn't know either about the tapes. He has a plan that most aren't going to be privy to. And I think the biggest thing he has in his back pocket is this. If those tapes don't show anyone being forced into something, they can easily get the tapes, for one, at least the tapes tossed out. And if you toss the tapes out, you toss out a very large portion of the case, because it kind of lynches around the reasons as to why he had this drug and had that drug and had this thing. And it was around the parties. But if you can be taken away from them, separate the two, then man alive.
Mm.
And no, hey, look, and this is the thing. This whole idea of him, not being allowed to leave, and they might end up finding a way during the case to have him released on bond or something. And if he is guilty of this stuff, I can see him pulling a Roman Polanski. I can see him pulling a Roman Polanski, flying to a country that has no extradition and staying there for the rest of his life.
Mm.
That's what I can see happening.
The justice system is jacked up. If you get just some small time guy that did that same exact thing, he would be under the jail, buried down in a dungeon somewhere for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Same, you think of doing the same exact thing almost. But because of somebody that's high profile like this, that knows a lot of people, knows a lot of politicians, friends with the Obamas, friends with Mayor Adams, friends with Oprah, friends with all these people. And he probably has dirt on them all, man. I'm telling you, there's a lot of influence in there. And he'll disappear.
If
you just won't hear from him.
If there were waivers signed, I heard one of them. I think it was it CC, big homie CC? I think it was the one that said, yeah, people sign waivers. But here's the thing. The parties have been going on since 2099, actually, 2099. And if you knew about the party and had been there, the news would have been gotten around that there were indeed drugs there, and you decide to still show up. This could come down to you had a knowledge and you still went to it. So it's not on the person. It's on you. So a lot of these people could have the case that they have tossed out, especially if you can show that he did tell them that these particular things were taking place and they still showed up.
But okay, these parties have been going on since the 90s.
Yeah, well, so the first white party was in 99.
Okay, so if there's a pattern, right? Say you go to your first party and there's a pattern, your very first one, drugs and lots of sex. Oh, okay, that is it. Then you go to a second one, then you go to a third one, fourth one. It's the same thing. It's just over and over, and it gets worse and worse all the way till now or whenever it ended, 2022, 2021. Wouldn't it? How can you get away from that when it's a pattern? They're all the same. That means that is planned. Every single one of them white parties, if they're all exactly the same, have the same exact things going on, wouldn't that be considered premeditated because it's a pattern?
Yes, it's premeditated, but it's also willing participation. You can't say that the premeditation is to keep people in the dark if they're not being kept in the dark. And if you knew about what was going on and you still went, you can't then play foul and say, I didn't know because you knew. Especially if you can show that they knew. And there are film out there where he's standing on balconies and he has said on film, this is what he said okay, we're about to start the second phase of the party, and we're not going to have the kids, so the kids are going to go to bed because the adults are going to do adult things. He said this on film. You can find it. He was on the balcony of one of his houses.
I remember.
So it's not like they were not privy to what was about to take place. The question only becomes this. If they knew, why did you go back? If you didn't know, why wouldn't you make sure about what was going on? And why wouldn't you leave once you figured out what was going on? And if you didn't like it the first time, why wouldn't you talk? That is a big deal. And if you can push that enough, you might be able to get the man released from custody and free. So, like I say, I'm not saying it will. I'm not saying that the law and all that stuff wouldn't play up. I'm just saying he looks like he could possibly have a out. Now, I don't know if they'll bring that up. Here's the thing. I don't know how far back or what the statutes of limitations are on this particular thing, because I didn't see them mention Justin or Usher in any of the paperwork. He didn't mention any underage things happening outside of the parties. So could they bring them up? Probably in a separate case, but neither one of those two individuals have brought any cases to Diddy. And technically, they're the only one who can. So, I mean... It's one of those cases like you want things to happen, but I think he's not a dummy. Puff might be a perv, but he's not stupid. And I have a suspicion that he might have done a lot of things to
cover.
To cover. Yeah, lots of checks and balances. up to and including sending messages not cryptic to people, and you leaving your phone behind or whatever should give you a red flag. Oh, I gotta leave my phone? Heck no, I'm out. I ain't leaving my phone with you. And if not leaving my phone means I can't go into the party, then I'm not going in the party. I'm good. So I think it may come down to them knowing exactly what they were stepping into and decided to do it anyway. We'll see. Time will tell if his crazy defense will work. I was drunk, Your Honor.
Yeah, I was drunk, but we all know that being drunk or high doesn't excuse charges or things like this, because you're not going to go. A normal person's not going to go in front of a judge and male or female, be like, "Oh, I was drunk. I didn't know what I was doing." That's not an excuse.
I'm not saying it is.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying.
But they are using it as a precursor for what people already said. It was drugs there. So if there was drugs there, it would make sense that I was impaired too, just like everybody else. He could put himself as, I just wanted the guys, man. I just facilitated the party, and whatever happened, happened. I was too high and too gone to know. I was about to stop the party, but then I got high.
Wow.
I was going to stop the party, but then I got high. You might just break out in the song in the middle of the chorus. I don't know.
Wow. That's crazy.
Oh man, Diddy. What didn't Diddy do? Do I dumb? Diddy don't? Diddy do?
Hey, Diddy, don't worry. The world, Black America's got your back. They gonna be out there. Free Diddy. Free Diddy.
Alcohol. They're gonna be on it, man. Tell you. Now this one is the one where if YouTube, hear me out, people on YouTube land. When I show this document, if your feed on YouTube goes down, just understand it's because they don't want to be discussing this topic on YouTube. Okay? I want you to know that I'm going to show you and read the document. But if they get you removed in terms of the whole video gets taken down, it's not us. It's YouTube don't want to talk about it. Okay, cool. We have a case file here for United States of America versus you better at this, aren't you, bro, with them Russian names? We're gonna just call her Kostya and
Kaush. I can't.
Konstantin Kalashnikov. Yes, Kalashnikov.
Yeah.
Konstantin, whatever, Kostya. We're going to call her Kostya and Lena. I'm not Russian. I don't want to be, and I don't need to know languages. I'm just going to call her name. Kostya. They say AKA Kostya, and this might cost me, but we'll find out. Kostya and Lena. All right? So this is the case. RT, formerly known as Russia Today, is a state-controlled media outlet funded and directed by the government of Russia. After Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022, RT was sanctioned, dropped by distributors, and ultimately forced to cease formal operations in the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom and the European Union. In response, RT created, in the words of the editor-in-chief, an entire empire of covert projects designed to shape public opinion in Western audiences. One of RT's covert projects, as described herein, is its funding and direction of a Tennessee-based online content creation company. Over the last year, RT and its employees, including Kostya and Lena, the defendants have deployed nearly $10 million laundered through a network of foreign shell entities to covertly fund and direct U.S. Companies One publishes in English language videos on multiple social media platforms, including TikTok, Instagram, X, and YouTube, using multiple fake personas. They edited, posted, and directed the posting of the U.S. Company One of hundreds of videos. Many of the videos published in the U.S. by U.S. Company One contain commentary on events and issues in the United States, such as immigration, inflation, and other topics related to domestic and foreign policy. While the views expressed in the videos are not uniform, the subject matter and content of the videos are often consistent with the government of Russia's interest in amplifying U.S. domestic divisions in order to weaken U.S. opposition to core government of Russia's interest such as the ongoing war in Ukraine. What they're trying to tell y'all is that they might be suspecting them of interfering with, elections. That is what the entire case is about. We'll go down here and you'll see what I mean. Okay, here we go. Background in Russian influences. So they're linking the RT of 2023 to the so-called interference in 2016 here, by the way, in case people are wondering. Now, I've watched RT before. You ever watched anything on RT?
I've watched it before. I haven't seen it around lately, though.
Well, yeah, because they're banned here.
Yeah.
But they were always seemingly fair to me when I
Yeah.
read and listened to what they say. So I don't see what propaganda they talked about. They weren't left or they weren't right. They never spoke one way or the other.
Well, you know what the propaganda was, Marlon. The truth.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, the truth.
Yeah.
The truth is considered propaganda to these clowns.
The state fund, RT's editor-in-chief has publicly acknowledged since RT receives budget from the state, it must complete tasks given by the state. Kind of like how, hold on. Isn't that the same thing that CNN, MSNBC, NBC, and all those people do because they got funding from the government too?
Yep.
So if you're going to tell me you're going to bring a case against RT, shouldn't you be bringing a case also against all the mainstream media people who have been taking money from that particular government regime to say certain things?
Yep.
Interesting. For nearly 2 decades, RT has promoted the objectives of the government of Russia by publishing disinformation and propaganda, leveraging its international network to amplify the government of Russia's message of foreign audiences and using its guise as a conventional media outlet to lend credibility to that message. If I were to take a guess, this particular thing was probably issued not by the United States under the Trump regime, but a last-minute effort under the Biden administration to try and create for themselves a backdoor to say that, hey, the election was, what's that S word?
Stolen.
Yeah, that's the word. Stolen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stolen.
Swallowed. And in or about March 2022, following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the European Union, Kingdom, Canada, and banned RT. The same month, RT also ceased its operation in the United States after major television distributors dropped the network. But as RT itself has boasted, despite the post-March 2022 ban on broadcasting and the lack of formal distribution channels in UK, Canada, United States, European Union, it still continues to direct disinformation and propaganda to Western audiences. For example, 2024 February, the editor-in-chief declared during a Russian television appearance that public opinion in the West is changing very rapidly and very cheerfully, due in part to RT. I don't know how that's disinformation. Maybe I don't know what misinformation or disinformation is anymore.
Yeah, we don't, because they decide what's misinformation or disinformation. And
I'm really confused.
It's anything that they get pushed, and if you go against that narrative, or anything they get paid to push, if you go against the narrative, oh, that's disinformation because you're not going with the mainstream, what we've been told to push. Only we can tell you what to think.
That's just, and I noticed that they don't name the founder or the company. There's a Canadian company or American company. They don't put any names to it, and I have to wonder why they're not naming the company themselves if they're going to court about the company being used for propaganda. If they're using the company for propaganda, why wouldn't you just name the company so people can just stop using them or stop promoting them? Wouldn't that? I've never understood that theory. To create content for RT pursuant to Founder 1, the written contract, Founder 1 worked with Founder 2 and 2 individuals, Producer 1 and Producer 2, who later joined the U.S. Company 1. I want names. That if you're going to call this, I want names.
Yeah, they're not going to give you names because those names probably tied to a lot of these American media companies. They're not
Discord. And how come Discord isn't investigated anymore? It's beyond me anyway. In their private correspondence while working directly for RT pursuant to Founder 1 written contract, Founder 1 and Founder 2 regularly referred to their sponsor as the Russians. For example, on or about May 12, 21, Founder 2 messaged Founder 1 on Discord. So we're billing the Russians for the corporation, right? On about May 22nd, 2021, Founder 1 messaged Founder 2 on Discord. Also, the Russians paid, so we're good to bill them for the second month, I guess. Also, I say we bill the Russians for the last month once we're done with the extra op-eds. If this is the smoking gun they've been looking for Russian information or disinformation or election interference, I think they have no smoking gun for one reason. Information itself, and this is what I believe, isn't misinformation, disinformation, or true information. It's what you do with that information that affects what happens.
Yes.
We give information all the time. Ain't nobody doing nothing with it. But the stuff we say, people call disinformation all the time, but it's not because we bring receipts with it. So the question is RT actually funneling misinformation, disinformation, or the truth, and it's being branded as misinformation?
Yeah, I believe it's they're putting out the truth and it's being branded as misinformation because everything they're saying goes against what our mainstream puppets say. Notice our mainstream media all say the same thing over and over and over again. And you get one news outlet that says a little different or says something different. That's considered misinformation, again, because they're not talking. They're not saying the same thing the mainstream is saying here in America. They're an outside source.
I'm just curious as to how this came about as a deal, because I'm trying to figure out, yet reading this, where it even says anything about trying to persuade anybody of anything outside of just putting out information. Did you know that you can watch Russian TV if you have the right VPN?
Mm-hmm.
Were you gonna dog the VPN companies for opening the channels up for you to go watch Russian propaganda?
And when you say they're trying to sway people, what are they trying to sway people to do? And how are they swaying us to do anything?
That well,
they just throw that out there and they blame an outside entity for pushing whatever because they lost. So they swayed it. How did they sway it though? What did they do? They changed the votes. They force people to vote a certain way.
That's where I'm confused at. And this is my biggest problem with saying something is misinformation or disinformation. It's like when they put something out or a study on cancer and they tell you this can only be done, only taken care of by chemo. Is my looking into a holistic approach misinformation or disinformation? If I go to a secondary source that isn't an American doctor to look at the things that an American doctor told me, is that listening to disinformation? That's what they would say. They would tell me I'm not. The same thing they did when you had to take the GBD jab, right? Any outside information is considered detrimental disinformation, even though there's no tangible proof that the thing I'm looking into doesn't work.
That's true.
Now, it's proven that what you're giving me doesn't work because you said it. But if I go contrary to what you've said, I am now labeled as a insurrectionist or someone trying to cause problems or disinforming the public, lying to the public. I didn't know a second opinion was lying to people.
Yeah, they call it public safety. You're not allowed to go
You're
outside.
A threat to public safety.
Yeah, you're not allowed to go outside the mainstream. These are experts. Remember, the experts all agree. Whatever percentage of experts agree. And it's the same thing with media. The majority of the media agree with this, what we're saying, and anything that goes outside of that is misinformation. Same thing, like go back to COVID. All the doctors are saying, jibbity jab, 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 jab. The minute these doctors that were on the outskirts saying otherwise, they were labeled what?
Oh my gosh.
But they were doctors. They were doctors.
Do you guys remember what they did to the African lady doctor?
Yep.
Called her a voodoo witch, all kinds of nonsense. They went after her like 40 going north. And then there were 6 specific doctors that met on the stairs of the Capitol building. And what happened to them? They got almost their license taken away from them because they were talking about some alternative measures you could take to avoid problems. You couldn't even remotely sniff at having a difference of opinion about that thing.
Yep.
People lost channels, they lost income, they lost jobs. Some were arrested, but RT is where they draw the line.
Yeah.
Right? RT is where they say, no more, ping. That's disinformation. Instead of proving them as a lie, you just say, "We're not listening to them." It's right off the top, disinformation.
Yeah, and so they have to label Russia as the enemy. Election interference. That's how it started. Election interference. Then you have this Russian media outlet. They can say, "See, you see, Russia interfered with our elections," and they're putting out propaganda, and all the little smooth brains are believing it. Russia interfered with our elections, and now they got this Russia propaganda wing, able to broadcast in America. We need to get rid of them, and everybody believed it because of our propaganda machine that we have in our own country.
Look, all I know is that they have this paperwork going out here. I'm trying to find what what they're really bringing to as the charge outside of marketing to specific people about specific things. I don't see how this could be considered interference with anything, especially considering that people have the option to listen or don't listen.
That's right.
Just because I put something out there doesn't mean that you have or being forced to listen to it or believe it. People decide to believe or not believe. I don't believe any of these informational pieces that they handed out saying you better believe us or we'll find your family. They put the information out there, even if let's say they lied. Let's say they came straight out and said some blatant lie. If the government of the Americans can do it, why can't a regular citizen or some other country? You lie to us all the time, government. I don't see you getting put in stockades for it. You've been lying to us since day one, so I'm trying to figure out how you're any different than RT.
They lied to us for, again, public safety. If we tell them the truth, we have to worry about, what's going to happen if we tell them the truth. But Russia lying to us, that's our enemy. They're the enemy of us. If they're lying, they're trying to interfere with our democracy. We can't have that, but we can lie to you. We can do that because it's public safety, and we care about democracy, and we have to protect you. So we're going to lie to you until you find out the truth. Then we're going to just deny it, and move on to the next shiny object. That's how they do.
What you just said sounded an awful lot like Lethal Weapon. You got the rest of me. It's like, why? Diplomatic immunity.
Yeah.
I have diplomatic immunity. That's how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to other people, all right. So let's go to the counts, shall we? Let's go to where they have listed the counts. Statutory allegations. Conspiracy to violate the Foreign Agents Registration Act from at least in or about December 2022 through at least September 24 in the Southern District of New York, Russia, and elsewhere. Kostya and Lena, the defendants, are and others known and unknown, and knowingly and intentionally did combine, conspire, confederate, and agree together, marriage, and with others to commit an offense against the United States, to wit, to knowingly and willfully act and cause U.S. Company A, Founder 1 and Founder 2 to act as agents of foreign principals without registering with the Attorney General in violation of Title 22, United States Code, Section 612 and 618. Okay, that's one. 2, conspiracy to commit money laundering.
Oh, sounds like our government.
Yeah. The allegations contained in paragraphs 1 through 44 are in this indictment are incorporated as though fully set forth herein from at least December 22 to 24. The blah same people willingly, unknowingly committed money laundering in violation of Title 18 United States Code Section 1956 A2A. Is there a third? Forfeiture allegations as a result of committing offense alleged in count 1 of the indictment. So they have them on only 2 counts.
It's funny with the count, right? Everything that they put down as some type of charge or something or whatever. Isn't it the same thing we do in other countries when we broadcast in their countries?
Yes.
Okay. I was just okay. And just make sure I was right.
Yes.
We do it all over the world, but God forbid.
Man, look. I don't see this going anywhere. And I think
No.
it's just another one of those propaganda pieces by the people who don't want to admit. And this is look, this is their way of trying to do what they did in 2016, in my estimation.
Mm-hmm.
They did the same thing of pushing this idea that Russia influenced people to vote for Donald Trump. Now they seem to be wanting to push and float the same idea. Russia caused people to vote for Trump in 2024.
Yeah.
Man. Y'all said it was secure, not us. Y'all said that.
Yeah. And this is how stupid they think the American people are, is that we can't make a decision on our own and we have to have outside influence in order to vote for a president. This is how they think. This is what they think about us. If it wasn't Russia, it's China. If it's not China, it's going to be something else. When they lose, it's always something else. It's never them. It's never them. It's never their policies. It's never their party. It's always, well, this is the reason we lost, because of X, Y, and Z. Outside helped and interfered.
I want to see these people who do a countersuit.
Oh yeah,
that'd be amazing. Absolutely amazing. We apologize that Lee wasn't here, but we'll make sure we string him up on a corner so y'all look out. We might have to sacrifice one of Bro's dogs to try and get him to come here because he likes food like that.
It's not gonna happen.
No? Okay.
We could sacrifice Harry Sisson.
He's a dog, so it doesn't work. We'll see how this turns out. Come Friday, we have another hot topic, but we won't tell you what it is yet. You just have to come back and find out. But we will be talking then. And then Monday, God willing, we will have Decoy on with us.
A Decoy.
We're going to have Decoy on with us. So keep your fingers crossed it all works out for that thing. In the meantime, you need a... Hey, Mike's free.
What's that?
Mike's free. Hit Mike up.
About what? A husband. Oh no.
Mike's a good guy, Akila. I'm telling you, he's a good guy. She's a good girl too. Akila is what you call a motivated person.
Hey,
she's strong-willed. She's strong-willed because she's Jamaican, but she's not so strong-willed that she's gonna punch you in the face for no reason.
Oh.
She can wait till you're sleeping.
Anyway.
Yo, bomb me clot. They just plow. Now she's a good Christian girl, man. She ain't gonna do none of that to you.
Bomb clot.
She don't drink. She don't smoke.
Oh yeah, that's good. I'm like
playing
that.
matchmaker right now, Keela. My bad. I'm sorry.
I like that.
I know you say you ain't looking, but just saying.
Hey, when you're not looking, that's when you find.
That's right. If I didn't do my job, at least to put the bait out in the water, I'm not doing my job. I gotta do my job. Call me the matchmaker. I'm not good at it, but I try. In any case, we'll be back on Friday.
Oh man, yeah.
We'll be back on Friday. And if you guys hadn't seen the few videos we dropped on Too Strong, go check them out. We dropped the Pope one and we dropped the Shannon Sharp one. And the Shannon Sharp one, man, that one's moving. See, no drug or alcoholism.
Yeah.
And she works out. Look, she goes to the gym regularly. Like she's
good.
She's strong too, like strong. Good.
She's batting 100 right now.
Batting 100, man. Batting 100. I'm telling you. And look, she can do like me. She can code switch like the best of us. You hear her talk, you'd never think she was Jamaican, and then she'll just fall off right after you get her mad into the Jamaican like that.
I can code switch to Carlton.
You did.
Not unusual to be loved by you. Carlton, like I'm the best.
Oh man,
I'm a square.
That's okay. Akila is that kind of person. She don't need you to go to a party and none of that stuff. So
I don't party.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Hey.
Just saying.
We got Marlon. Got me all like
Give
shy.
love a
Like-
chance. I'll serenade you both when you guys go on your first date. Anyway, love you guys. Mean it. We'll be back on Friday. Thank you for sharing our videos and commenting and all that stuff. Make sure before you leave, you smash that like button.
Yes.
You share the video. We have a new store coming. I have somebody working on a store apart from Teespring that can get us our stuff faster, more efficient, and cheaper. So look out for that, and we'll let you know when that drops. All
Hey,
right?
so if I get a T-shirt like this, would you guys wear it?
No, you wouldn't.
Just a picture of me like this.
Not even cartoon, just a straight up picture. I don't know.
Yeah,
Man.
just my whole picture. Just you get the word on the front. So
Oh
everybody
gosh.
sees.
Well, I couldn't. They're gonna think it's my own shirt. I couldn't do that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
They're gonna think it's me, all black.
No,
people.
what we all get a shirt of each other and wear it every
Oh,
show.
that'd be
So I'll
funny.
have a picture of Marlon.
That would be
You have
funny.
a
We switch
picture of
it
me?
out every.
Yeah, we all wear each other's face.
Too stupid. Too dumb.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, people. We'll catch you all on Friday, and I'll see you guys in the morning for Straight Talk. So when we talk about how the devil is a black man, we'll talk about that.
Mm.
You didn't hear? In the sense that we finally got the truth. The devil is a black man.
Well, I had a theory before we go. I was reading theories on black. You know me, I go down rabbit holes.
Mm-hmm.
And they said they came up with the term black people because black is devoid of, light, and it has so many different meanings of, evil, dark, blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah, blah. And this is why they call us black people. Well, we're obviously not black.
Color.
Yeah, we're brown,
But I just thought it was because it was the color, but that's just me.
There
is one guy that thinks that black people are the devil. I know. I'll show you guys.
Really?
Tomorrow. Yeah. Join the show in the morning, people. Trust me, you won't want to miss this one. This is the best one ever. Ever. All right, cool. So we'll catch you guys then. Too Strong will be on in 2 hours, a little less, hour and a half. So we'll catch you all there. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.
War.